mark it in here. Mark 7:6. Hypocrites. Okay, hypocrites. Yeah, hypocrites. Okay. I had it marked actually, but I marked it again. Okay. So you have to read both, you see. But Mark is just piling on Matthew, isn't it? Frankly, I think in this case Matthew is the earlier version, and the Mark version is adding detail. Whoever the writer of the Mark is getting very excited and wants to, throw in more material on this subject. That's why I say the interrelations of people think, well, there's an early gospel, a later gospel, and so on. They bounce back and forth in such a complex way that I don't even think it's possible to say which came first. And people say John is different. No, sometimes John agrees with Luke. And I hope I'll be able to show you where John actually agrees with Luke. The relationships are so complicated, it would take almost a space science to determine what, which came first. But in vain, so he's using a different argument to some extent here. He's not saying honor your father and your mother. That's what contradicts eating with unwashed hands, or eating with washed hands, and the Pirkei Avot. He's saying all this other material, like anyway. He's quoting Isaiah. Their heart is far from it. You leave the commandment of God and hold fast to the traditions of the elders. I don't know here in Mark what the commandment of God is. And he said unto them, full well do you reject the commandment of God, that you keep your tradition. For Moses said, he's saying, honor your father and mother, and he that speaketh evil of his father and mother, let him die a death. But ye say, if a man say to his father or his mother, that wherefore thou mightest have been prophet of me is forbidden, that is to say, or is holy, that is to say, given to God, you no longer suffer him to do aught, making void the word of God by your tradition which ye delivered, and many such like things ye do. Doing an attack on the doers, on the Jamesians, I think. Well, anyway, if you follow that, and it's hard to follow, basically he's saying, your fathers and mothers should be honored. Since they didn't do this, why should you? But the Jews' fathers and mothers did, theoretically, we assume. So this is aimed at the new Gentile converts. And then he's saying that a prescription from the Mosaic Law tops this one, because this is only a tradition of the fathers from the Talmud, or something like that. So all this is really heady stuff. But let's go back here. So we haven't ended here. Let's go back over to Matthew. Then Matthew 10 picks up this material, and he called to him the multitude. By the way, the rank and file of the Dead Sea community, as some of you have already pointed out, are known as the many, the Rabbi. Okay? So we did this last time, but let's do it again. Hear and understand. Okay, and hear now, all ye knowers of righteousness, and understand the works of God. That's the first line in this Damascus document that I just read. And hear now, all ye knowers of righteousness. He has to dispute with the flesh and so on and so forth. Later on in column 2, and now listen to me, all you enter the convent. I will unstop your ears. We'll have a lot of unstopping of ears in the pictures of Jesus and some of the, one miracle he does, he spits in someone's ear or spits in their eye and then, he spits in their ear. So their ears will be unstopped. I think all this plays off the language here in the Dead Sea Scrolls. You say, well, why didn't people see it previously? They didn't have the scrolls. They don't understand where some of these things were. I mean, I don't think my God spits in people's ears to unstop them, but if your God does, I defer to it. I'm not going to argue with you on that point. No God that I know spits in people's ears. And no God that I know, frankly, tells people to eat with unwashed hands. You want to get a commandment of men? That's a commandment of men that I've ever heard of. That is someone who is not doing science. That is someone who is living in Rome, Athens, or Alexandria, who doesn't like Jewish dietary laws. Not that Jewish dietary laws are marvelous, but they did have some basic health understanding that were superior, or to some extent, more insightful than others in that time. They understood that blood was a problem, a serious problem that we've not even understood until today, how serious blood is. Now people in hospitals go around afraid to touch anyone who's bleeding or doing anything. They all have gloves on. You go to your dentist, the dentist won't even come near your mouth without a pair of gloves on. They're all petrified of getting AIDS. And I don't think AIDS just popped out of the woodwork yesterday.
Hepatitis too.
Huh?
Hepatitis also.
Yeah, so these things, so I'm not saying the Jewish dietary, I think the Jewish dietary laws were based on some long-term observation, science if you like, of certain problems that emerged from certain behavior patterns, and did their best through taboos, very primitive taboos, I agree, to avoid some of these things. One thing, of course, was the problem of germs in unwashed hands. Another thing is the problem of blood, sleeping with women in their periods, or consuming blood of animals, any kind of blood of any kind, putting women outside the camp during the menstrual flow, all those things. I'm not saying they were wonderful things, and I don't say they did them all the time, but the law understood there was a problem there. It wasn't they were just being mean. They saw the health issues, and I think circumcision too, though it was obviously a symbolic thing, and the Egyptians were already practicing it. But they were in a society, and I'm not putting down or raising up anyone who is or is not on this issue. That's a matter of parents, and here we do have honoring the father and the mother and so on and so forth, or the tradition of the elders. But circumcision, I'm not talking about female circumcision in here, which is absolutely, obviously, a horrendously horrifying thing and should be prosecuted to the nth degree, and someone is being prosecuted for that here in America. Something happened in one of the families here, a man, I think down in Georgia, an immigrant family of some kind, circumcised his daughter at the age of 12 or something. Just a horrendous thing, and they're prosecuting that person. I think very serious prosecution going on that particular issue, because he did it himself. He didn't even go to a doctor and stuff like that. Just horrible, horrible thing. In any event, and a horrible thing to do to any woman, period, to desensitize a woman in that way is just utmost stupidity. And yet it's done in large swaths of the world still, from Afghanistan down into Africa. So it's really a serious one. But circumcision of the other kind that we know